The purpose of this tutorial is to show you how to use the texting area inside of Microsoft OneNote. So you'll notice that I've clicked on the screen and I've decided to click here and type in text formatting. And on the screen, I'm going to just click and enter information into the note container. And you'll notice that as I began to type, the text container began to, the note container began to expand to accommodate the information that it is being typed. So what I'm going to do is keep typing so you can see what happens. And I don't know whether you noticed it or not, but it got to the point to where the note size container stopped at a particular point and it just automatically flowed the remaining text to a new line. If you type a spelling error, just as I've done here, you can come in here and change it. For example, if you see the red squiggly line, it means the same as it does in other Microsoft Office programs. You can just right-click over the word and you can select the correct spelling, and that'll allow you the opportunity to modify the text that you see there. Another thing that you have the opportunity to do is to come in here and change the font type. So for example, if I decide that I want this word for information to change, all I'm going to do is make sure I'm on the Home tab, I'll look in Basic Text, and instead of using Calibri, I could come in here and change that font type to something different. So I just changed the font type and that has been modified. If I decided that I wanted to change the size of the font, for example, I wanted to increase the font size, all I have to do is click on the drop down arrow. Here I can select to increase the font size. Furthermore, if I decided to click on a different container, let's say I had a different thought and I decided to make a grocery list. Only because this may have been a side thought that I had, what I can do now is come up here in the basic text area and I can click in order to make a bulleted list. So I could do eggs, cheese, hit the enter key, and ham, and what I'll notice is that that information is typed. Later on, if I change my mind about the order of the list, I can just hover near a bullet, left click when my mouse looks like a four-headed white arrow, and just move the information higher up on the screen. And so you do have that flexibility inside this program. I notice that I have an extra bullet here. All I'm going to do is hit the backspace key a couple of times and that gets rid of that information. I still have the opportunity to rearrange that text on my screen. Now, furthermore, if you decide that you want to remove some of the formatting, you have this particular key here for clear formatting. Let's say that you wanted to get rid of this bulleted list. Then you could highlight what you want to remove the formatting from. If you come over here to clear formatting, it gets rid of those bullets. In this case, I really do want them to be present, so I'm going to click undo. If you decided that you wanted to bold your text, you can select the text that you want to bold, and then of course go back to your basic text group, and here you can click on the B and it will bold that information for you. Likewise, if you wanted to select a word and if you decided that you want it italicized, you can select that. If you decided that you wanted to select another word and have an underline, you can use that as well. This particular program allows you to use the strike through just so you can keep the text visible but yet change some language. That feature's present. And of course, if you decided that you wanted to use Superscript, let's say that I had an exponent or something, let's say x to the second power, then what I could do is highlight what it is that I want to be a superscript, in this case a subscript first. I could click on this drop down and that'll allow me to make it a superscript, or if I change my mind and wanted it to be a subscript, then I can click on this drop down and select subscript. So you have the ability to go in and make those types of modifications. If you want to add a different type of background color, what you could do is select the text, and here you can go in and click on the drop down arrow, click on the color of the background that you want, and you can see that it changes that color for you. And then one of the last areas that I do want to certainly cover is the fact that you do have the option of selecting on a particular word, and you can change the font color by clicking on the drop down. Here I can make it this color by selecting it, and it changes that font color. So those are some examples of what you're capable of doing inside of Microsoft OneNote with the basic text. I'm going to go in and I'm going to highlight this particular list. I'm going to clear the formatting. But one thing I want you to notice, if you decided that you wanted to come in and use these particular areas, you could, for instance, hover over decrease indent position, and when you click it, you can see the text direction that it moves in. If you want to increase your indent, then of course you could do the opposite by clicking on indent to increase it as many times as you want. If you decided that you want to change the alignment of your text, for example, the paragraph alignment, you can come over here and you'll see by default it's set to left. But if you want it to be center, you can click on center. It'll put it in the center of the page. If you want this to be aligned to the right, it'll align to the right of the page. And if you wanted it to go back to the left, you can click align left. Because of the changes I've already made before, that's positioning it back over to the left. And in this case, I would of course have to move my indent back over to the left side. So that's how you could go in and change your basic text formatting inside of Microsoft OneNote.